Hi there, welcome to the hallowed halls of the StarFleet Leadership Academy, where we are taking some moments and learning some leadership lessons and life lessons from the universe of Star Trek, specifically as it relates to Captain James Tiberius Kirk, also known as Admiral Kirk, or as Con would say, Kirk, whatever your frame of reference is there will make that work. Today, when it comes to leadership lessons, I want to give you one that is a little bit more specific, but I think it's a characteristic that Captain Kirk shows throughout his saga in the world of Star Trek, but he's fictional, but it's important that you have it in the real world. And it's simply the ability to be discerning and ask questions. Great leaders do that. They have a sense of being able to find the information they need, and sometimes to get there, they have to ask the right questions. Kirk, as decisive as he was, also was not afraid to ask questions and take a risk based on his answer. Case in point, one of the most unappreciated Star Trek films was Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. It was the one that was actually directed by William Shatner, the actor who played Captain Kirk. It was panned by critics and fans for a variety of reasons, and I can understand that. It doesn't hold up as well as you might like in some of those original Star Trek films, but I also think that they missed a lot of the intent, the humor, and the depth of the film, and I think there's really some stuff there, and there's all sorts of reasons for it. You can go back and read the stories, you can hear the stories, people will debate whether they liked it or not. But I like all of the films, and so I think there was something incredible about that. The Final Frontier, they end up in a search, if you will, for God. What else could they look for in the Final Frontier, right? I mean, so it's a Star Trek movie where they're looking for God. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy end up on a planet talking to an alien that has very much a godlike persona. Deep voice, white hair, beard, all of those kinds of things. And they're talking to them, and all of a sudden, God tells Captain Kirk, ask him the question, well, you came here? Yes. How did you get here? In a starship. We came to find you, and all this conversation back and forth. And all of a sudden you can see that as Captain Kirk is talking to him, that there's this dawning that's taken place, and he stops the whole line of questioning and he says, excuse me, and in one of the best Star Trek lines of all time, he goes, excuse me, what does God need with a starship? And see, I was sitting in the theater watching it thinking exactly the same thing and wondering where are they going with this story. Kirk asked the question, well, Bones, of course, typical reaction, he goes, Jim, what are you doing? And they have this whole dialogue, and then Bones says something to him along the lines of, when you're standing before the Almighty, you don't ask to see his ID. And Kirk responds, I just need proof. And it begins to unravel because they're not standing in front of God at all, and Kirk has figured it out. And the dead giveaway was he knew enough about God to know that God could do anything, and so God wasn't stuck on a planet somewhere. And what he was hearing and what he was seeing rippled against what he knew, and he knew that what was happening is it was an alien trying to get his very prized possession, the USS Enterprise. And that was not about to happen. See, I think that sometimes we live in a world where people are quick to jump and they really want the next best thing, and sometimes they run after things that are just too good to be true. And I think one of the roles that leaders have is helping people to pace themselves in such a way that they find what's real and that they can discern what's right and that they can find the best things for them, but also that they don't get duped along the way. And for fans of Star Trek, over and over again, although a tragically flawed fictional character, he also was a character that they wrote so well because time after time after time, he was able to do what needed to be done and was able to ask the right questions, get the right information, and make the best choice. And so for you and I, as people who like to lead and who like to follow, learning to ask the right questions and learning to be discerning with those answers is essential. It's characteristic that James Kirk put on display. It's a characteristic that great leaders will put on display, and it's a characteristic that you and I need to have as we strive to be the people we were created to be. And so, learn to do that. Practice doing that. And how do you do that? Ask questions. If you ask questions, you never know what you might find. That's what great leaders do. So I look forward to joining you next time here as we once again move through StarFleet Academy and look at some of the lessons of leadership that we learned. Until then, may God bless.